What's up, fam? It's me and your boy, Subway Cup, coming back again for another YouTube video. This is going to be a different one. I kind of want to walk you guys through my personal story. And, you know, AMC has brought together a freaking really incredible community of people who are all in this for, you know, for differing reasons. But I think a lot of people maybe don't know my personal story coming into finance, why I'm holding AMC, and why this means so much to me personally. So I kind of just wanted to take this time right now to walk you guys through, you know, my story and how I came into AMC, what made me decide to move from a swing trade to holding this position with the freaking apes out there and waiting for our attendees to start printing while we freaking milk out these hedgies. But let's just get right into the video. So I'm not gonna hold you here for as long as I know I humanly have to. So my personal finance story, right? Financial story. I ran into a lot of hardships, you know, growing up as a kid. I grew up in a family. My mom and dad were divorced. I lived with my stepdad and my mother. My stepdad raised me. Great guy. Passed away about 5 years ago. My father I didn't meet until I was about 13 years old, right? We didn't have a lot of money. I'm going to be honest with you. We grew up with enough to get by, right? We put food on the table, and we had a lot of different, you know, things that kind of played into our financial equation that, you know, we had enough of what we needed, but not enough to thrive per se, you know. And when I graduated from high school and went into college, a lot of really crazy stuff happened. So there was two main factors that put me into a really deep hole. There was actually about a 6-month period of time that, you know, this hole that I dug myself, I ended up living out of my car. I was homeless. You know, I would eat bananas and ramen noodles for meals and literally sleep in the back seat of my 2006 Ford Taurus. that good old clunker. I'll never forget that beast of a wagon. But I had two issues that I dealt with, you know, for a long period of my life. One of them was medical issues, right? Uncontrollable thing. I had this eye condition in which I'd drop, you know, hundreds to thousands of dollars every single month on these eye drops, steroid eye drops or dilation eye drops. And at the time, I could not afford them, you know? So what I was doing was just paying them with my credit card, right? Swipe, 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 swipe. And eventually I read to this crossing point where I could no longer afford the minimums with the amount of money that I was making every single month. So I was in a freaking hole. And then the second piece of the equation that played into this, and I've never told this to anybody, but this is maybe, you know, something good to talk about, is I had a raging gambling addiction. Bad. So when my pops passed away, right, that was back when I was about 18 years old. And the way that I coped with that, obviously unhealthy, was gambling. And it was bad. What my thought process is, you know what? I just don't care anymore. I don't even care if I'm freaking alive. Like everything about the way I thought about the world when my pops passed away just flipped on its head. You know, I had a lot of ambitions. I there was a long, like about year period of time where I never dug myself out of that. I just kept pissing away money over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I'll never forget this one time that I went to the casino, and my bank account, when I walked in there, you know, both my checking and my savings had about $3,000, and I walked out and my bank account had maybe 10 or 20 bucks. And that's what I had to live off of for a couple of months. Now you throw that into the equation of I couldn't afford to pay my medical bills because of my eye issues. It was this constant battle of me trying to fight for making money at the casino so that I could go and pay off my medical bills. Now don't get me wrong, there were times when I went where I got lucky, I played poker, I played blackjack, I made money, but more often than not, I lost money. And this put me into a really, really bad endless feedback loop cycle where all that I could do was dig myself deeper and deeper and deeper into this hole, right? So to put the pin on the needle right here, at the lowest point of my life, I was $30,000 deep in medical debt. I had, a couple tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. I had car payments that I was making, right? I had to pay all my bills. All said and done, I was probably about, $55,000 to $60,000 in the hole with no means to pay that off, right? Absolutely struggling. And this was, the way that I was paying for anything at the time was just bartending at Buffalo Wild Wings. And I can't complain. I did okay at the time, and definitely enough to survive off of, but not enough to thrive, and definitely not enough to pay off all the medical bills that I was having at the time. So what ended up happening is I've got a brother-in-law. His name is Patrick Williamson. He married my sister. Absolutely freaking awesome dude. And we would just have these talks. He was actually my optometrist back when I lived in Minnesota. I would drive out 3 hours from where I lived, central Minnesota, out to Fargo, and that's where he lived. And we'd just do these eye appointments. He'd give me the update on how my anterior uveitis is going. He would tell me how, speaking of which, I should put my glasses on. I know there's going to be people that in the comment section that are saying stuff, but we'd give our updates. He'd give me my new prescriptions, and then he'd take me out to lunch. And we get these burgers, and we get beer, and he'd pay for the tab. And for an hour, all that we would talk about is finance, money, and investing. And he put me on a couple different podcasts. I listen to Bigger Money podcasts, Bigger Pockets, I think is what it is, but it's like this investing in real estate sort of podcast, and that never really clicked with me a huge amount. Not to say that I'm not going to invest in real estate. I own my own property, obviously, but it was the beginning, right? That was kind of the spark that got me thinking a little bit about what I need to do with my life. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was some aha light bulb moment where all of a sudden I started making a shit ton of cash. But what it was is it planted the seed in my brain. So I started thinking about things a little bit differently. I stopped going to the casino as much. I stopped gambling. I was definitely more fruitful with the way that I spent money. And I took a step back and thought to myself about what I need to do to dig myself out of this hole. So it was winter break, the senior year of college for me, right? My last year of college. I ended up just cranking hard. I worked two jobs, two part-time jobs at the time. I was a bartender at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was an intern, the nutrition and dietetics intern at the dining service facility on campus. And in between those two jobs, during that 1 month period of time, I worked 70 hours a week for that entire 1 month winter break. And I raised up enough money to be able to put a pretty good dent in my debts. And that was the beginning. That was just enough confidence for me to start really taking my financial situation into control, right? So with that being said, this would have been, December of probably 2019, coming into January of 2020, this is when I really started to take control of my financial situation and do some research and kind of surround myself with different people. Now, I didn't really get into the market per se, investing. I didn't take a stab at it until July of 2020, in which I actually lost money. I'll never forget that. I remember I bought into Wells Fargo with a pretty decent, chunk of cash, and lost like $5,000 or $6,000 or something. I was like, this is freaking stupid. I don't know why I'm in the market right now. But after that period of time, I came back from July, took a little bit of a break, came back again in October, and I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to really take the time to learn the ins and the outs of what I think I'll be able to manage as an investor, right? Because at the time I was working full time still. I'm still working full time now. And I came up with my own sort of strategy based on different people on YouTube. I watched this guy named Rainer Teo, Rayner space Teo. Technical analysis freaking god. The guy knows everything about anything that has to do with charts. And I sat down for that month, 2 hours a day, plugged away, made some good learning points, learned how to trade stocks, technically, and swing trade, because that's essentially what my strategy was before AMC came into the equation. And from there, I turned, $8,000 when I started my channel in, December 16th, 2020, about 4 months ago, into $45,000 at the end of January when AMC started doing its thing. Now, I'm not telling you all this, guys, to brag about how much money I make by any means, but it comes full circle to why I'm holding AMC, right? So coming back to my life story and what got me into the market, why I started investing, is I wanted to change my life forever, because at the time, dude, I'm a really easygoing guy. I don't stress about a lot of stuff, but the one thing on this planet that does stress me out is freaking money. People say that money doesn't buy you happiness, and I agree with that, but money does buy you freedom. Freedom from financial hardships, freedom to travel, freedom to be with your family and friends, freedom to do whatever the heck you want to do in your whole freaking life, And that was the entire moral of the story for me, is I want to get to the market so that I can take control of my own life and I can take care of my family so that none of them ever have to go through the stuff that I went through. I don't want my mom to ever be in a situation where she can't feed herself, can't take care of herself, can't pay her house, can't pay her car. I don't want my Uncle Mike to ever be in a situation where he's struggling. I don't want my brother. I mean, he's doing absolutely fine, but we can go down an endless list where you can pay it forward, So if I can do something here with YouTube and with AMC to change people's lives, because I'll tell you what, when AMC is printing those mad freaking tendies, I'm going to be paying it forward. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that people are never in that situation that I can control if I ever see it. And that's why I take things seriously. I mean, I think there's probably people out there who take advantage of people with money, but that speaks more on their philosophy and character than it does mine. I'm an intelligent guy. I can obviously sniff, the majority of when people are just trying to scam me, but Sometimes people sneak through, and that's okay. I'm not stressing over that sort of thing. So anyways, coming full circle, why am I holding AMC? Why does this matter to me? Why have I not let this go? Because this is what I think is a culmination of years and years and years of malpractice from the 1%, the rich, the hedge funds, to take advantage of the poor. And that sort of malpractice and that sort of manipulation and naked short selling has transferred billions, probably trillions of dollars of liquidity from poor people, right? The retail investor, not all poor, but it definitely makes a difference, to the rich, right? The rich get richer and richer and richer, and the poor continue to build this large freaking wealth gap. And it causes people like myself to be put in those different situations. Now, obviously, I never invested in the market, and I never, went to the market and lost all my money because I was being, stolen from by hedge funds. But other people are, other people are in situations. And here's an example, right? You remember when Robinhood and Fidelity and all these different, brokerage firms liquidated people's stocks and they lost probably millions and billions of dollars? That's an example, right? So for me, this is the idea of we can make a difference in real people's lives. Real people, I've run into a couple people now, where I'm working here in for my job, when I travel out to Texas, out to different places, that say, man, like you have no idea how much this movement has helped me mentally, like just get my shit together, So that's why it matters so much to me. My personal story coming into finance, turning myself around from being negative net worth of, $55,000 to $60,000 to positive. I mean, now I've got a 6-figure net worth, which is really cool. And I continue to add to my AMC position as much as I can and will continue to grow that wealth, is an absolute game changer. And I want that same thing for everybody else. So I'll never be silenced. I'll never be bought out. I'm never going to stop talking about this shit because it matters. It's real people's lives and real people's money on the line. Money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you freedom. And I want every single person on the planet who deserves freedom to have that freedom. And that's why this matters so much to me. So that's kind of my background and story on how I got into stocks, how I got into investing, why I'm so passionate about investing in finance, because it can make a real difference, man. I'm telling you, you never know the impact you're having on somebody. Every single day you could be having an impact on somebody, guys. So where does this come for you? If you're sitting in a situation right now where you've got your last couple pennies, your last couple dollars in the stock market, you're living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make ends meet, right? The power of investing, the power of the stock market, AMC, all these other securities out there is surreal. You can really change your life in a split second. If you told me a year ago that I would go from being a negative net worth to in a position where I can help my family, friends, eat, take care of themselves, lay off their bills, I would have never believed you. You never know when things are going to change, and that is why I'm so passionate about AMC. That's why I'm so passionate about investing, and that's kind of my personal story of how I came into finance and into YouTube. So, obviously this is kind of a whatever video. It's something that I just thought was an interesting topic. It's been asked about quite a few times. What was your story? How did you get here? And that's kind of what it is. So that's what I've got for you guys today. If you enjoyed that, that probably boring story, then let me know in the comment section down below. Share your story too. I kind of want to hear it. I think there's something really, really powerful about telling people your story, because everybody's got one. Everybody's got a story. We're all special, and none of us are special, is what I always say. If you think your story doesn't matter, you probably just haven't told it to the right people. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Mind drop a like on the video. It does help out the channel a lot. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more stuff like this. That's what I've got for you guys. So peace out, my friends, family, fellow Gorilla Gang. Catch you on the next one, my fellow apes. Much love. Peace.